Hello, welcome to the Azure Kubernetes deployment series, part 7. In this series, we are going to learn how to deploy microservices applications into AKS using Helm chart and keeping the Helm chart in the Azure Container Registry. So in our previous lab, we have already discussed how to deploy the microservice applications into AKS by keeping the Helm chart in the repository, and through pipeline we have published it into the agent artifact, and from there the deployment pipeline pulled the Helm chart and deployed into AKS. But in this lab we are focused on how we will keep the Helm chart in our Azure Container Registry, and from there how the pipeline and also through command line will check how we can deploy the services by using the Helm chart and pulling it from the ACR. So the question is why we are going to store the Helm chart in ACR, I mean in the content registry. So there is some advantage we'll get by keeping this in the Azure Container Registry. So the benefits what we'll get here is the Azure Content Registry is private and it is a encrypted storage. Also, there is a restriction. I mean, it will be very secure. We can restrict it using the providing the airbag rule and Azure Ready authentication. Also, we can manage the version of the Helm chart. Also, it will helps in rolling back to the previous version. So these are some advantages we'll get by keeping the Helm chart in Azure Container Registry. Okay. So in order to save time, I have already provisioned the resources by running the script. I have used this script, and using that, I have already provisioned the Azure Container Registry and AKS cluster. So if you see, just before a few minutes, I have just run this pipeline here. So not pipeline, the script here, and it just provision the resources. You can see here it is provisioned. Then I'm just connected to the cluster by using AKS get credential. So you can see I have just executed this command to 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 connect to the AKS cluster. Then I have just used kubectl get node, so it display the node. So our node is already provisioned. Also, I have pushed the Docker images to the ACR because we need the Docker images to be available in ACR so that the Helm chart will use that and it will deploy into AKS cluster. So in order to save time, I have already run this command. We can see this command I have just executed because the Docker images are already available in my local machine. So I just pushed it uh, into the Azure Content Registry by executing this command. You can see here this all successfully pushed into the container registry. If you go to our um, uh, Azure portal, and we can see our AKS and ACR are created already. And if you go under this, you can see here this is our Docker images with version v1. Okay, now the infrastructure is ready and the and the images are already available in the ACR. Now it's time to deploy the application using Helm chart. So before that, we need to push the Helm chart, because here, if you can see here in the structure, I have this store Helm chart and it contains the respective Helm chart for all the applications, okay, separately. But we are not going to refer this Helm chart from the repository. That means we are not going to publish as artifact, and from there we are going to refer it. So instead of that, we'll publish those Helm chart, or we push those Helm chart into the Azure Container Registry, like how we did it for the Docker images. So for that, what we have to do is like the ACR should it should enable for OCI. So OCI is nothing; it is a container initiative where it's a standard to keep the container formats and runtimes. So for that, it should be OCI enabled. But if we are using Helm chart above v3 v3.8.0, then by default it is enabled. Otherwise we can use enable it by using this export command. Okay, since the you can see my helm chart locally. If you see the version here, helm version, so you can see here my version is v3.14, so it is above this mentioned version v3.8.0, so no need to export this one. So before that, in order to push this helm chart helm chart to the ACR, we need to log into my uh, Azure Content Registry. Okay, for that I can use this command here. So it will ask the username and password. So you can get this repository information by using this access keys here. You can see the username is this one. Okay, I'll just copy and pass it here. Now the password, if you go, you can see there are two password. You can show it and copy this and copy this, and I just paste it, and the login is success. Okay, now we are able to, from the command line, we are able to now connect to our ACR. Now, in order to, because we have, if you see here, we have 5 Kubernetes objects. You can see here, I have 5 Kubernetes objects. Those are config, order, product, RabbitMQ, and storefront. Okay, so all this we need to push as a package to the Azure Content Registry. So for that, what we have to do, we need to package it first. Okay, so this is the command. I can package it. I just done it. A successful package. You can see here it created a config with version 0.1.0. Okay, similarly I have to do all packages here. Let me run all these things. Okay, so now it is all packaged. Now we need to push it into the Azure Content Registry. If you see here, uh, the ACR name I am mentioning here. So it will store in, create a Helm repo in the ACR, and under that it will store this Helm chart. Okay, so for that, let me just run this. You can see it is pushed successfully. You can verify if you come to the repository here. You can see here Helm, under that config it created a 0.1.0.1 version, whatever we have mentioned here. Okay, so this one, the config 0.1.0, this package, it is already pushed to the ACR. Similarly, let me push the other 4 Kubernetes objects one by one. Okay, now if you see, now we'll just verify this whether these are all pushed or not. You can see here Helm order, Helm product, Helm RabbitMQ message, and Helm storefront. So all 5s are pushed to the ACR. Now, if you want to pull those, right, you can pull those using this. Okay, so that you can using from the ACR. If you want to pull those images, we can do this. Okay, similarly, you can run these all commands here. So it is pulling the images again from the ACR. So this is not required now, but in the pipeline, when we'll try to run through pipeline, this pull is required in the deployment pipeline. So it will pull the images from the ACR, not images, sorry, and the helm chart from the ACR and deploy it into the AKS. Now let me just run. What we have to do now, we have to install these packages to the AKS cluster. Okay, so what I have to do here, I have to use Helm install, or you can use Helm upgrade as well. So using this we can do, right? So let me install this one. Okay, so it pulled and then it deployed and it created revision. Okay, now if you see, it successfully done that. So let me just run all this all together. It's taking some time. Okay, yeah, you can see here. So all the Kubernetes objects are deployed in the cluster using Helm chart install. Now if we'll see what are the pods are created in our cluster, we can see get pod. So you can see here it's running, but the order is still is waiting because it depends upon the RabbitMQ message. So to come offline, so it will be available after a few minutes. Okay, but now still, if you want to check the applications are not running or not, that we can do it by using get services. Let me just get the services. So this is our front end application, and it is the service is a load balancer. That means it is publicly exposed, so we can call it to the front end application. Okay, then we can see. Okay, so you can see that our application is running. Okay, and if you see, by the time our all pods are up and running, you can see all are ready and running. Okay, so you can now here we just gone through how we can push our uh, Helm chart into Azure Container Registry, and um, again how using the command, how we pull it from the ACR and deploy it into AKS cluster. So that we have done just now. But these things again we can automate using the pipeline. So for that, let me just clean all whatever is there in the default namespace. Let me clear everything. Okay, so it will delete everything from the uh, cluster from the default namespace. Now we will going to see how we can push this Helm chart into ACR using pipeline, and through pipeline how we can download, how the deployment pipeline will download the Helm chart from the ACR and deploy into AKS cluster. So for that, if you see, if you go to our pipeline, I have already created these pipelines here. Let's go to one of the pipeline here. If you see, so this pipeline, in this pipeline we are doing both continuous integration and continuous deployment. So continuous integration, it helps in creating the image and it will push the Docker images. In the previously we just push it through the command line using the Docker command, but in this case it will build that through pipeline and push it to the Docker images that we have already discussed. So this build YAML file you can see under app templates. This is the build template, and it will do this activity. It will build the Docker images and push into Azure Content Registry. Okay. Similarly, the next step is Helm package push. Okay. So for this also I have just written another template here, Helm push. So if you go to the Helm push, so what it will do, it will get all these parameters that is required for our Helm chart to push into the SCR. So for that, you can see here. One more thing, what I'm doing is to maintain the version of this help chart. I'm just using the build ID. You can see the image tag. That is nothing, the build ID. So in the values.yaml, you can see here in this order, I have the values.yaml, and here I have the image tag is b1. Okay. So this image I need to change. I mean, the tag should be build ID. I need to update it to build ID. So for that, I'm just using in this Helm push, I'm just replacing that one. Okay, we can see how I'm replacing that using the set command here. Similarly, the Chart.yaml. So if we come here, the Chart.yaml has a version also here. Okay, you can see this is the version, but we are not going to use 0.1.0 version, so it should be dynamically updated by our build ID. So for that, in Helm push, I'm also updating this chart. Okay, so just to go through this one, how it is updated using the set command, we can go through this one and you can see. Okay, so these are the path mentioned where exactly the Chart.yaml file is there. Okay, and how where it is the values.yaml file is there, and what need to be updated. You can see here image tag, it will be updated here, and here the Helm version. The Helm version, it is nothing, it is the build ID. If you see from my order pipeline, I'm just mentioning the Helm version as build ID. Okay, so the chart, I mean the image tag and the Helm chart version, both it will take as a build ID as the tag. Okay, now, so these two things it will do, it will first update the image tag in the values.yaml and the Helm chart tag or version in the chart.yaml file. Then it will again call the Helm package, whatever we have done here manually, right? First it will do a Helm package, then it will push, then it will pull, and then at the end it will install. Okay, the 4 steps it will do. So that it will, the Helm push, it will simply it will package it and push it. Okay, you can see these two activities. So one activity, it will update the values.yaml and chart.yaml. The second activity it will do is it will package that Helm chart. The third activity it will do is push into the Azure Content Registry. Okay, next in the order pipeline. In order pipeline, it it will deploy the uh, Helm chart into the AKS cluster. So it will use this deploy YAML file here. You can see here I have created this deploy YAML. In this, what it will do is again here I'm just exporting this OCI, but it is not necessary. If it is the Helm chart that is deployed into the agent machine is a higher version. Okay, so here I'm just logging to ACR and logging into the AKS cluster. Then I'm just pulling that Azure, sorry, the Helm chart. Okay, from the ACR I'm just pulling the uh, Helm chart. Okay, so this is done by this task. Next, this is nothing, just I'm viewing whether it is properly the pulled Helm chart is available or not, just to show that I have just using this script. Okay, it's nothing, just to just a command to display that chart. And this Helm deploy will do the deployment. Okay, so it will use that whatever the chart it will get from the ACR, from the local folder, it will refer that and it will deploy. Okay, so it is deploying using this one. We can, instead of Helm deploy task, we can directly also use the Helm command. Okay, like Helm pull we did. Similarly, we can use Helm install, and we can do also. Okay, but just for showing that we have another task available for Helm deploy, we can use this one. Okay, so this way, this is done for both for all this order pipeline, product pipeline, and store pipeline. Okay, because this pipeline, it is has both CI/CD. It We are using the Docker images to push into ACR. But in config and RabbitMQ, it is only the CD pipeline. It will only push the Helm chart to the Azure Content Registry, and it will deploy. Again, it downloading from the Azure Content Registry. But we are not pushing any images for this two pipeline, config and RabbitMQ. Okay, so how we can do that? For that, we need to run the pipelines. So it will take some time to run this pipeline. I can show those pipeline here. If we come to this, you can see under in our my Azure DevOps under pipeline, I have a Kubernetes 07 folder because this is the series part 7. So I have created this, and these are all the pipelines I have created. If you go on order pipeline here, and you will see, you can see here this Azure DevOps order pipeline is referring to this pipeline here. Okay, just whatever this we have just discussed now. Okay, now so we have to run all these pipelines. So if we run this pipeline, it will do both. It will deploy for order, product, and front uh, front store. I mean storefront image. It will both publish and create the Docker images and push it into the content registry, and also the Helm chart. It will push into the other content registry and deploy it. Okay, so but as discussed before, for the Rabbit message queue and config pipeline, I mean config object, it will only push the Helm chart and deploy it. Okay, so let me run uh, the config pipeline first. Okay, so let me start one by one all these things. I have started the config, then the dependent one Rabbit message queue I'll run again. Okay, let to deploy the order pipeline. Next, I'll deploy product. Okay, the last one is we are going to deploy the storefront. So it will take some time to complete this pipeline. So till then, I'll just pause the video and I'll back soon once it's done. Hello, back again. All the pipelines are successfully completed. You can see here the config pipeline. It's completed successfully. The first stage, it deployed the Helm chart to the Azure Content Registry, and the second stage, it pulled the Helm chart from the ACR and deployed it it into the AKS cluster. Also, the Rabbit message queue pipeline, it also does the same thing. The first stage push the image, push the Helm chart to the Azure Content Registry, and the second stage pull it from the ACR and deploy it into the AKS cluster. Similarly, if you go through the other pipelines, order pipeline, product pipeline, and storefront pipeline, or as all are success. And here they have three stages. The first stage is creating the building and pushing the Docker images to the ACR. The second stage is pushing the Helm chart to the Azure Content Registry, and the third stage is it pulling the Docker image as well as the Helm chart from the Azure Content Registry and deploying it into the AKS cluster. Okay. Now, if you see, if I'll just get the pods from the cluster, we can see all the images are now running, and you can get the services by using a get SPC. Okay, so you can see here this is the public IP for the front end application, and if you can see, you can browse this using the port 80. It should we're able to see the application. Okay, now here what we have implemented is, you can see here it is maintaining the image tag and the Helm chart version using the build ID. I mean, we are dynamically appending the version of the um, Helm chart and the Docker image tag dynamically. So if you can see here, you can go and see the repository, Azure Content Registry repository. You can see here the config has the version of the Helm chart is 440. Okay, and for order you can see 442 is the Helm chart version, and the order image has also the same build ID as a tag, image tag. Okay, so if we refresh this, you can see all are available here. Okay, so in this case, as I explained before, if you go to the pipeline and you go to the Helm push here, we are just appending this build tag into the values.yaml and the chart.yaml to keep the version update using the pipeline. Okay, so yeah, that's what we have implemented today. And uh, so yeah, that's all about the Helm chart, deploying AKS cluster uh, using Helm chart. In the next lab, we are going to learn how to use customization. So using customize, how we can deploy the uh, Kubernetes microservices application to Kubernetes with different environments. Till now, we have only deployed to only one environment, that is dev environment. In the next lab, we'll learn how we can use multiple environments, and we will update our pipeline to deploy into multi-environment Kubernetes clusters. So yeah, if you are following this lab, don't forget to delete the cluster at the end. You can go to the end and you can just run this command to delete all the services from the Azure Kubernetes. Okay. So thank you so much. If you have any questions or feedback, let me know. Till then, bye bye. Thank you.